Coping with COVID and In It Together SC present Wellness Wednesday, brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina and DHEC's Division of Diabetes and Heart Disease Management.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Hey there, I'm Tre Tailor, and thank you so much for joining us on our Wellness Wednesday. In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. And today is no different. We are gearing up for Diabetes Alert Day. Next week, we'll have several shows focusing on just that, including 2 live chef events Tuesday and Wednesday. Today, Dr. Linda Bell joins us to discuss her article in the Imara Woman Magazine, where she talks about the importance of healthy eating, especially for minority women. Also, Lydia Cotton was also in that issue. The podcast host talks about the work she's doing in the Hispanic community. Ms. Cotton, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Then Marcy Westerbeck joins us with information on Diabetes Alert Day events. Marcy, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. That and more coming up next on Coping with COVID. Wellness Wednesday is brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council and In It Together SC. But first, your COVID community updates. The Senate passed a bill today to make daylight savings time permanent. If the bill becomes law, the U.S. will still fall back in November before springing forward for good next year. In South Carolina, lawmakers approved a 3% raise and one-time bonus for all state employees, plus raises for law enforcement and correction officers. And the governor partnered with Spectrum to open 350 new jobs at the West Columbia Call Center. Now, those permanent positions do have potential for growth, and employees can make between $50,000 and $80,000 a year. For information, contact jobs@spectrum.com. SCDHEC has your most up-to-date list of times, dates, and locations for COVID testing and also vaccinations in and around South Carolina. Visit scdhec.gov for more information. Now, there are several other testing and vaccination locations throughout South Carolina, including Kroger pharmacies are offering COVID vaccines. CVS offers vaccines at locations including Target stores. Walgreens is offering COVID vaccines and free N95 masks. And in Columbia, South Carolina, the Brooklyn Baptist Church has a vaccine clinic open 7 days a week. The Comet bus system is offering free rides to get your vaccine. And also at the Comet location in Columbia at the corner of Sumter and Laurel Streets, they are also offering free COVID testing. Now, you can get 5 free rapid self-tests by logging on to covidtest.gov. Now, even if you got your first 5 free, it's time for you to re-up. You can get an additional 4. Also, wanted to mention, if you are a vet, the VA is handling all COVID testing and vaccinations for veterans. You can see that information on the screen. Now, if you are a little technologically challenged and having some problems getting your COVID test or your vaccine, Get Set Up is giving free help to seniors and others that need help getting set up. You can see the information on the screen. Give them a call and get the information. Also, FEMA is still offering COVID funeral reimbursements. If you lost a loved one due to COVID, you can contact FEMA to get a reimbursement for funeral expenses. Now, there are other financial resources available throughout the country and throughout the state of South Carolina. The South Carolina Bar Association and SC Legal Services has a toll-free number and website for rental and mortgage help. Lexington County Bill Assistance, their program is still open and available. SC Housing and Dominion Energy has a rental and utility assistance program. And SC Hopes has 24-hour assistance from the South Carolina Department of Mental Health. So listen, if you know someone that is having a challenge coping with COVID, please contact SC Hopes from the South Carolina Department of Mental Health. Now, First Steps is also offering funding to host events to get kids ready for kindergarten. Visit firststeps.org. The deadline is April 1st. And a couple of hiring events going on. The City of Columbia has a hiring event every Wednesday from 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. at 2910 Colonial Drive. Bring your driver's license and vaccination and Social Security card to get information about that. I'm Tre Tailor, and you are watching Wellness Wednesday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council, the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina. They sponsor Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. As a matter of fact, we are streaming live on the In It Together Facebook page. Please go over there, hit like and share and follow. And not only will you get notifications as to when to watch Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday right here on Coping with COVID, you'll also get all types of great information on eating and living a healthy lifestyle, and also about diabetes prevention programs throughout the state. We're also streaming live on the Tailor Made production page. That's the home of Coping with COVID. Please go over there, hit like and share and follow. Get notifications as to when to watch Coping with COVID, which is Wednesday at 2 p.m., but also Coping with Tre Tailor, which is on Thursday and Friday right here on Facebook and YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, we are streaming live on the YouTube page. Please go over there and hit the subscribe button, and also check out past episodes of Coping with COVID and Coping with Tre Tailor. Now, we also have a presence on Instagram and also on Twitter. Now, all of the information that I just shared with you, all of the public service announcements, the COVID information, and all of the funding information, the employment information, all of that will be scrolling at the bottom of the screen throughout the show. So please post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses. I want to say hi to Betty Fletcher. She says, good afternoon, everyone. Hey there, Betty. Thank you so much for watching and for joining us. And speaking of what Betty's doing, if you have a question or a comment, please put it in the chat button so we can let our guests know. It's Diabetes Alert Day. It's next week. And Imara Woman Magazine featured several women to discuss the importance of women, especially those in the minority communities, to focus on health and well-being. Coming up, we're going to talk to a leader in the Hispanic community, Lydia Cotton. But first, South Carolina lead epidemiologist Dr. Linda Bell shares what she said in the Imara Woman Magazine. Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. It's Diabetes Alert Day. And we're getting ready to talk to Dr. Linda Bell. She is the lead epidemiologist of the state of South Carolina with SCDHEC, a face and name I know you have become very familiar with over the last, 3 years, I guess now, Dr. Bell, when you were thrust into the spotlight because of the pandemic. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me again, Trailer. It's very nice to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So listen, you were featured in the Imara Woman Magazine article just this month during Women's History Month, talking about health disparities for African-American women in particular. What are those concerns that African-American women have health-wise?
Well, some of the concerns, I know we hear a lot about this, there are certain chronic conditions that can impact all populations, but unfortunately, among African Americans, we may have poorer outcomes. So we frequently talk about the complications from high blood pressure or hypertension, cardiovascular disease, that we tend to have poorer outcomes from cancers because we may have later diagnoses. And also obesity is a huge factor, and that's a big contributor now for diabetes being more common. For example, we used to talk about adult onset diabetes, but because of the obesity pandemic, we are now seeing earlier onset of type 2 diabetes because of the higher prevalence of obesity in young children. And so among women, as we're women are the heads of the household, make choices, the dietary choices and things like that. There's a lot that we can do as African-American women to influence, take better care of our own health and that of our family members and our loved ones.
I want to ask you what some of those things are we should be doing as African-American women. But first, I want to know, did the pandemic have an effect, positive or negative, on these concerns that we've been talking about for African-American women?
Yes, the pandemic did have a lot of negative consequences, not just from the disease itself, but it had impacts on interfering with routine healthcare. We know that during the pandemic, people were less likely to get recommended preventive health care, and things to consider are things like cancer screening, getting mammograms at the regularly scheduled time. Every woman 45 years of age and older should have a regularly scheduled mammogram, regularly scheduled Pap screening to detect cervical cancer earlier, colonoscopies to detect colon cancer at earlier stages. And that early diagnosis is something that helps improve outcomes, because if detected early, cancer can be treated. So during the pandemic, we know that routine healthcare was impacted, immunization coverage, not just for COVID, but for flu, for pneumonia, things like that were impacted. And then maybe that didn't get talked about enough was the impact on our psyche, on our mental health, the isolation, the increased economic impact and things like that. So really across the board, COVID infected us and affected us from the disease itself, but then across every life space, from general health to other chronic diseases and mental health.
Yeah, we're talking to Dr. Linda Bell. She is the lead state epidemiologist in South Carolina. We're talking about, on this Diabetes Alert Day, a great article that she was featured in the Imara Woman Magazine, talking about women's health. So again, the pandemic definitely had a negative effect on healthcare in general for everyone. And of course, we're talking about African-American women today. But do you think, Dr. Bell, because so much has been exposed, so many of the disparities have been exposed, do you think post-COVID, if there is ever one, there will be a change? Or do you see a change in the healthcare system as opposed to giving the underserved and unserved access to healthcare?
You know, I certainly hope so. from both sides of that question, from the increased awareness about health disparities that was brought to light by COVID, so that on the side of healthcare systems and providers being much more aware of that, but also on the part of those impacted populations, that there's more that we can do, you know, to be more optimistic about better self-care, more healthcare literacy. So, you know, it is my hope that if anything positive can come out of that pandemic, it is that there were health disparities that many of us were well aware of prior to, but it really came to light dramatically. And the hope is that through policy changes, everything through access to healthcare, through access to things like telemedicine to give people more opportunities, that it's very important to be aware of that so that we can make changes. And then the other important thing is that it's not just the disparities impacting communities of color, African Americans, and other minorities, but those impacts on pockets of the population actually do affect all of us, because we all share resources commonly. And if there's a drain on those resources, and that if we can improve the quality of life for anyone among us, then we're actually improving the quality of life for all of us. So I do hope that there's that part of it, but then that we will also pay more attention to our health, and to be optimistic that the power that we as individuals, as African American women, have to just take better care of ourselves through awareness of what we can do for screening, for staying up to date with our medications, staying in touch with a healthcare provider that knows us well and can detect changes in our health status if there's a concern, that we get the appropriate workup. Oftentimes, African American women do not get that workup. It can be discounted. Oh, you're just tired. You need to get some more rest. When in fact, you may need a workup for an underlying heart problem or something like that. So can't just be discounted to just fatigue and stress. There's more that we can do, and knowing ourselves and bringing that to the attention of a trusted healthcare provider is an important part of this picture.
Is that, and that's what I was going to just ask, so many times, we don't even want to tell our hairdresser what to do, more or less, a doctor, as women, we have struggles to letting people know, I know me better than anybody else. What is your advice to women who may find some fear or some hesitancy in saying to their physician, listen, over and over again, I know something's wrong. I feel something's wrong. I know it's not just A, B, C, D. Do you continue to push on, or do you then try, change your physician?
Oh, well, you absolutely advocate for yourself, and coming from a position of saying, listen, I know that at my baseline, I'm able to do these things, and something is different. And generally, a healthcare provider will listen to that. It's, you have to find somebody that's going to spend time with you and make sure that, they're asking the right questions. How are you doing? So unexplained weight gain, weight loss, but just generalized fatigue. In some, that it can be, just deconditioning, but in others, it can mean that, well, I feel short of breath when I exert myself, and this is new. It concerns me. I feel a sort of tightness or a certain discomfort in my chest, or, I'm more frequently thirsty, or there's a change in my, urinary habits or something like that. That could be a marker for diabetes. And so having routine health care and getting an appropriate evaluation, but really advocating for yourself and saying, I think something's wrong, and let's go through this and get an appropriate workup to see if, yes, it is, you just need to be more active, or there is an additional workup that we need to do some screening and get to the bottom of this.
We're talking to Dr. Linda Bell on Wellness Wednesday. It's sponsored by It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council right here on a Wellness Wednesday on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor, and Dr. Bell was recently featured in the Imara Woman Magazine this month's issue, March being Women's History Month. And we're talking about women's health issues and what we as women, particularly African-American minority women, do to be healthier, to be more conscientious about our health, and to advocate for our health. As you said, Dr. Bell, we are often the heads of households, even if there is a two-parent household. So we are the ones that are really making the choices about what to eat, when to eat, where to eat, what to buy. So what do we have to do not only for ourselves, but then to support and advocate for our children and the other members of our family?
Yeah, and to be optimistic, there really are so many choices that we have. We know that sort of culturally, we may have dietary habits that aren't the best things for us, and you can make better choices, excuse me, and establish habits for ourselves and for our families. When I said the head of the household, I meant perhaps the strongest voice in the household.
Yeah.
Parent. So when you make decisions for yourselves and the food that comes into the home and paying attention to, we know we like salt. We have too much salt in our diets. That's a contributor to high blood pressure and cardiovascular disease. And the consequences of that could be strokes and, other, heart attacks. Increasing the amount of fruits and vegetables, sort of simple choices like that, and portion size are so important. And actually relatively easy to do over time. Changing habits, can be tough, but if we instill these habits in our children, these healthy eating habits, and make deliberate choices about what we're bringing into the home. So changing our diet has a big factor on obesity, on the control of diabetes, oftentimes through weight loss and dietary control alone. We can come off of some of these medications that are used for high blood pressure and other things. Healthy lifestyle with remaining physically active and having a sort of a routine, and choose things that you like to do. Don't set yourself up to fail by choosing a, really rigorous, going to the gym and things like that you will lose over time. But, getting a buddy, somebody who's going to exercise with you, walk with you, gardening, pick something that you like to do that that you stick with, and do that with your family. Right. So that you have a support system. All those things can translate into healthier lifestyle and better outcomes.
Yeah, we can find out more about what Dr. Bell has to say in this month's issue of the Imara Woman Magazine, celebrating women during Women's History Month. Thank you, Dr. Bell, so much for sharing all of this great information and for what you are continuing to do for our state and our country, actually, to help fight this year long pandemic. I call it COVID-19 2021 and now 22. So thank you again so much for joining us. And again, you can check out this month's issue of the Imara Woman Magazine and find out more about Dr. Bell. Thank you so much, Dr. Bell. We appreciate you.
Thank you for your continued efforts for education. I really appreciate being with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You're watching Wellness Wednesday on Coping with COVID from It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council. It is Diabetes Awareness Day, and we've got more coming up next.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Aiken-Cochran. As Miss America, I know that taking care of yourself is important. Part of taking care of your health is knowing if you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes is serious and puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. 90% of South Carolinians who have it don't know they have it. Visit inittogethersc.org. Take an online test to find out your risk and join a diabetes prevention program. Brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday life. But when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor. Thank you so much for joining us. We are streaming live on the In It Together Facebook page. Please go over there, hit like and share and follow. Check out all of the great information, including where you can find a diabetes prevention program, plus other great information on health, fitness, and wellness. We're also streaming live on the Tailor Made Production page on Facebook. That's the home of Coping with COVID. Again, please go over there, hit like and share and follow. You'll get notifications as to when we go live, 2 p.m. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and also get all types of great resources on COVID and more. Now, we're also streaming live on our YouTube channel. Please go over there and hit the subscribe button, and you can watch past episodes of Coping with COVID and Coping with Tre Tailor. We also have a presence on Instagram and also on Twitter. So please like and share and follow. I want to remind you that we have a scroll that is streaming at the bottom of the page with all types of great information about COVID testing, COVID vaccinations, financial resources, and more. So please post and share this information so we can get the message to the masses. I want to say hi to Mitchell Peace Joy Jen. She says great information and discussion. And also Matthias Mickey Copeland had a question I just saw for Dr. Bell. But once I get Marcy in here, Matthias, if you can wait just a minute, I'm going to get Marcy in here and perhaps Marcy can answer that question. We are gearing up for Diabetes Alert Day, and we just spoke with Dr. Linda Bell, lead epidemiologist for the state of South Carolina, about the Imara Woman Magazine article that she participated in, talking about the importance of women, particularly minority women, being conscientious about their health pre and post COVID. Lydia Cotton joins us now. She's a social media host and chair of the Art Pop Multicultural Group. Miss Lydia Cotton, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me again. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a little hard hearing you, so if you can bring up your volume, that would be great. Tell me, what is Art Pot?
Well, Art Pot is a nonprofit that was created to help to communicate the base of the Hispanic community with everybody else. In this case, any agency, organization, government. Through the arts, we started with theater, visual arts through the artist Maribel Acosta, which is the creator, the founder, the director. And my area is going to be the community side. So through the arts, we help the community to erase the fear factor of wants to communicate or needs to communicate in a lot of different ways. We are very creative on that, and it's been effective for us.
I love that. So tell me, like, through Art Pot, as you say, you guys use all types of creativity. Tell us, I know that you have groups that come together to help specific communities. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, we started walking the community, of course, the base of the community, knocking doors, telling the people to unite with us. And one of the areas that people are very fearful is the police. But we noticed that because we have so many victims of crime in the Hispanic community, they need to speak up. They need to make that report. And for that reason, then through the arts, through the theater, we have police officers even doing exercise of theater with us in the community, painting, doing some painting among each other, having the officers think about the Latinos and think about how they feel, and then explain what it means, what they do. And the communication that way came stronger thanks to that simple strategy and many, many others, we were able to help to lower the crime in our area. The people are talking about the victimization they're going through. So through the arts, definitely it's been definitely very helpful for us in the
Yeah,
community.
yeah. Now, is this a statewide group, Lydia?
This is
Or-
a no. This is Charleston, Berkeley, and Dorchester, Low Country.
Okay, Charleston, Berkeley, and Low Country.
We like to make sure that everybody knows about us and others keep spreading. But yeah, Low Country.
Yeah. In it together, SC and the Diabetes Action Council present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor. Lydia Cotton joins us. She is chair of the Art Pot Multicultural Group. They are targeting and working through the arts with the Hispanic community in the Low Country. Lydia, as it pertains to health and well-being, what are some of the challenges and solutions that Art Pot has found?
Lack of education that we all have, starting with me. Diabetes too caught me off guard.
Wow.
Okay. In the knowledge that we don't have and that we need to get, that is definitely the difficult part. Somebody like me that is so connected with everybody spent a year doctors telling me, Lydia, pre-diabetes, Lydia, be careful, Lydia, do this, do that. But at the same time, I was not understanding what is that that's new for me. And at the end, boom, now, call me by God. Now I'm pre-diabetic officially. So my life changed definitely. But when it comes to the base of the community, that the people are definitely more fearful of finding out, of looking, even though there's a lot of information, there's not much information about Spanish, even though there's a lot of information in Spanish at the same time from DHEC, etc. It's like we need to work with the base in the same strategy that we did with the police department to get the information out for them. The same thing we are going to have to do that when it comes to health. And it's both on the ground, talking to the community, making sure through the arts, it get the information, because it is tough, for the community to really understand. It happens to me. It caught me off guard. I'm really very sorry that happens. The doctors, they warned me. I was getting checkup, and so it's complicated.
Yeah. So, wow. So I get you're in a position where you are a living, breathing, walking, talking witness about diabetes and other healthcare concerns within your community.
Yes, and that is why now my purpose. I'm also a brain cancer survivor, and I'm not talking about that part. But when it comes to diabetes, really it hurt me because doctors were telling me, were warning me, Lydia, you need to make changes, right? So now it's the purpose for me to speak up about this, because it's so difficult to understand diabetes.
Yeah.
Makes
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Lydia Cotton joins us. She is with Art Pot Multicultural Group. It is a group that kind of targets the Low Country and helps the folks, the Hispanic community in that area through art. Just kind of break down the barriers of the various things that are kind of holding that community back and down. We're talking about specifically as it pertains to health and well-being. And if you've just joined us, please post and share this information out. You may know someone in the Low Country who really needs to hear this information. Lydia has been sharing with us all of the challenges. So Lydia, now that you guys know, now that you have identified what some of those problems are, how are you now targeting and what kind of solutions are there?
Yeah. So what we did, is create a program named Prevention. And we gather moms and dads together once a week to just talk about it privately, to make sure that they feel comfortable about talking about the issues. And we did a program. We are doing host a program in Charleston. Aquí estamos, our platform, every week talk, or every 2 weeks, this sense, because the first 6 months we did it once a week for 6 months straightforward, so we can head on the topic in Spanish, social media. And now every 2 weeks we're doing this. That is the best way. Social media, when it comes to Latino community, definitely, like everybody else, is big. It's more difficult now to tell the community, come and talk to us. Here's the table, here's the information. It works, but it really, social media definitely is a strategy, talking about it, getting the experts in front of, not Lydia saying what they need to do. Lydia is a patient. Lydia needs to learn. Lydia needs to behave. So what we do, we're using the tool that we have the professionals come and talk to me and teach me like 5 years old. So and the people see that,
Yeah.
So that's our strategy.
Lydia, listen, I was going to ask about that because you, like me, launched your social media show because you recognize, again, like me, that there's so much misinformation on social media. That's the first thing. And I'm sure you found that out, working with the Hispanic community. But that's where people go to get their news and information with all the misinformation that there is.
Exactly. Definitely you stay there, Miss Taylor, because we would like to watch you there.
Yeah. So I love that you're going where the people are and you are giving them the information that they need. So how are you able to, through social media? I know you said you have a show on social media, and then you do kind of like this. You bring experts and different people on to kind of talk about some of the issues. How is that working?
Wow. So the story is long, but I'm going to make it short. Our
Okay.
director, Maribel Acosta, was the one that created this platform, which is Charleston Aquí Estamos, through ARPA. Why? We have a multicultural center where children, families go do theater, do all the activities. Came COVID, guess what? We lost it, okay? After so much work. So now we were like, okay, what we are going to do that we don't have our center. Okay, so let's talk about the issues that we have in the social media. When we started with a small group. Now 25,000 people see us. And we talk about everything there. We have now moms and dads that
I love it.
starting with fear. And now we want them to be the host. We want them to direct us. We believe that the community, this is Director Maribel Acosta in the picture, where they are the ones who really needs to, tell us. We listen to the community, and we create programs according to what they say. We never make a decision ourselves. And it's at Charleston Aquí Estamos.
We can see the website here on the screen, and these are past shows. I'm assuming these are past shows that we're seeing, Lydia.
Yeah, we are in Facebook. Name is Charleston Aquí Estamos. That's when we started. That's how we start with the theater. Now we are any information that is important for the Hispanic community. We have our own platform. Of course, we're going to go back to theater. We just create a documentary film about about the Latino grassroots community. So that documentary film is being watched and seen in different universities of the state. So there's so many angles that we are working on. All those actors and actors are mom and dad and people and students that never had the opportunity to act in before. They were fearful. They were victims of crime. And we teach them how to do acting. And at the end of the day, they create their own play.
So when does the show air on Facebook, on social media?
We have 2 shows a week, every Wednesday night tonight. If you watch at 9:00 p.m. in Charleston, Aquí Estamos, right there you're going to see mom and dads. They're talking now in the language. And then the ones talking on Friday night, we had the Frente in front of you at 8:00 when Maribel Acosta, myself, and Patricia, as well as Marta from MUSC, talking about crime, about what happened in the state. Everything's in Spanish. So take a Tylenol before you start and watch it. Watch us because it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah. And so the show airs 8:00 on Wednesday and Friday night. Is it 1 hour? How long is the show?
It's 1 hour. Guess what? Wednesday night is 9:00.
Okay. Wednesday night at 9:00. Friday night at 8:00.
Mom and dad tell us, Lydia, don't do it at 8 because I'm coming from work at 7. I need to get the kids and I want to relax.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, you got to give the people what they want when they want it. Lydia, I love this. Lydia Cotton is the chair of Art Pot Multicultural Group. She's been sharing with us all the amazing work they're doing in the Hispanic community in the Low Country, how they started from art. They're working on health and wellness, policing issues, and they have launched their social media show on Wednesday at 9 and then on Friday at 8 o'clock. So tell us how the Hispanic community and the community at large can help you and your efforts.
Wow. Go to the communities, knock doors to the communities where the families are not engaging. We on purpose going to the community that is needed and talk to them. We have to talk to the community. We have to communicate with them. First, it's nice to do a one-on-one. One strategy that we use with the African American community is that we Latinos don't call them. We go to their community and we fix the steps of the elderly community and we paint the balcony so that they can see us. So we're going to have to, even though we're doing this with experts like you, Ms. Taylor, we follow this, and then on the other side we walk. Once a month that we walk our community and just say hi to somebody, have a conversation. It will help to spread the word. And at the same time, we're not talking about promoting programs, because I would say, Ms. Taylor have a program that you can be educated every week. Take it like a school. That is a school for every week for us. So that, I think, is a good compliment, what you do in the community.
Yeah, Julian Mars said a very informative show. Hey, thank you, Julian, so much for watching. This is Lydia Cotton. She is chair of the Art Pot Multicultural Group, as she's been sharing with us what they're doing in the Low Country, specifically in the Hispanic community. If you want more information, you can see the website on the screen. And as I said, don't forget to check out their show that airs on Wednesday and Friday right here on Facebook and across social media. Lydia, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for the work that you're doing in your community. Sometimes it looks like so big, so much stuff that we've got to do. But I am a firm believer that if we all do what we can, it'll all get done. We can just do what we can in our little slice of the world. And I love that you have engaged and, your community in the Low Country in doing that. And hopefully, you can expand it to some other areas in South Carolina through your social media show, which everybody can watch all over the world. So you have a global, like my friend Rashonda says, it's global yet local with a local base initiative. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you. Now you have a new viewer.
Thank you. And listen, I took Spanish in 7th and 8th grade, so I don't know how much I can watch you and know what's going on.
But I want to watch you. I need to learn from you too, and that's the idea.
Well, listen, whatever you need from me, I am more than willing to help with your show. Please give me a call. Let me know anytime. Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Lydia Cotton with the Art Pot Multicultural Group. I'm Tre Tailor, In It Together SC, and the Diabetes Action Council present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. Marcy Westerbeck is coming up. She's going to share some upcoming events for Diabetes Alert Day and more next on Wellness Wednesday. I'm Tre Tailor.
Visit Javis Tax Service today, 803-419-1001.
The Comet gives me a reliable source of transportation.
It's very convenient to me, and they have wonderful drivers.
It's clean, and it builds community. It's fun to meet people.
It makes me feel like really independent. It's just fun.
Comet's always going to be there, and it gets me everywhere I need to go.
We try to ride every single day. Comedy is our livelihood.
In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor. Please like and share and follow. We're streaming live on the In It Together Facebook page. They have got some amazing information over there on health, fitness, wellness, recipes, and of course, information on diabetes prevention programs on the In It Together Facebook page and website. We're streaming live on the Tailor Made production page also. That's the home of Coping with COVID. We would love for you to hit like and share and follow over there. Also, get notifications as to when we go live and find out all types of great information on COVID and more. We're also streaming live on YouTube. Please hit the subscribe button and watch past episodes of Coping with COVID and Coping with Tre Tailor. We're talking about Diabetes Alert Day today. Next week, we'll have two special cooking events. Tuesday, join us when we cook with celebrity chef Tiffany Deary from Top Chef. We've got a graphic for that, and she's also with the Hungry Investors. And Wednesday, we'll be in the kitchen with Chef J. Judy Etheridge and discuss infused water and alternative spices. That tastes good. That and more coming up next week, right here on Wellness Wednesday. Marcy Westerbeck joins us from Healthcare Partners of South Carolina. It's a facility with locations in Horry County, Marion, Florence, Georgetown, and Williamsburg counties. She's a nurse of 30 years and has specialized in diabetes management for the past 11 years. Marcy, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Tre. I always love coming in and speaking with you. We have a good time.
Thank you. Yes, this is a good time show.
That's right.
Listen, before we get to it, we did have a question earlier that I wanted to share with you. Matthias Copeland wanted to know, what are the steps we should take if during COVID we've missed or been unable to have our regular checkups, mental and physical, and now during the more open season versus full COVID season, to make sure the time missing didn't do too much damage? Do you understand the question? I think I understand what you're saying.
I kind of think I do. First of all, a lot of folks did miss their appointments during COVID. Some people, due to technology issues, due to internet access, due to everything, were unable to do the telehealth.
Yeah.
Some of the more rural communities, it was impossible. But if you've missed, it's never too soon to make a follow-up.
Right.
It's never too soon. Call. Your doctor is not going to say, oh, well, you missed, we're not going to see you again.
Yeah.
It's never too soon. Call, say, I fell off the wagon. I wasn't able to come in. I really want to get back on track.
Yeah.
Please let me get back on track. Even if your A1C, if you did have diabetes or you had high blood pressure and things are so out of whack, they're going to start from ground zero. They're going to get you back on track. And it's going to take a minute, because it took a minute to get you off track. But they're going to take a minute and get you back on track. So it is never too soon. Just get back on track. Start again. They'll start you back on your medication if you've been off of it, and it'll be okay. We have many people who unfortunately were in the same boat, just due to fear, due to knowledge issues, due to internet, due to transportation. There's many reasons. So,
and he's also said, what do you do in that in between time when you're not going to the doctor and you're not, because it sounds like maybe he hasn't even started back. I'm not sure,
Right. Well, sadly, with medication, I do know that our facility, like I said, we tried everything we could with telehealth, and our physicians would send the medication through, they'd send them their medication and at least stay on medication. If they couldn't get into the doctor, they would do a telehealth visit. In the meantime, if you haven't seen your doctor, it is so important that you are monitoring at home. If you have diabetes, monitor your blood sugars. If you have high blood pressure, monitor your blood pressure at home, because you have to be taking care of yourself. Dr. Linda Bell kind of talked about advocating for yourself. You have to be your own medical advocate. You have to watch your own weight. If you have heart disease, are you watching your weight to make sure you don't have too much fluid on you?
Yeah.
So if you can't get back in, watch all of those things, document it, write it down so that when you do get back in there, you can say, okay, this is what I'm doing. If you know that your blood sugars are high, watch your food. Okay. If you have
Take
diabetes,
responsibility. Yeah.
Okay, I'm probably eating too many potatoes. Let's cut back on those potatoes.
Or
Eat a few.
chips.
Yeah, let's maybe pick up a few green beans, and cut back on those potatoes and potato chips. Am I eating too much salt? Pick up something fresh once in a while.
Yeah.
Yes, fresh food is very expensive, but you do not have to have everything fresh. Frozen food is more fresh 90% of the time than the fresh food at Walmart.
Wow.
Yeah, if you pick up a bag of frozen green beans or frozen broccoli, it is less than an hour from being picked.
Right.
If you go get a bag of or a thing of broccoli at Walmart, it may have been on a truck for 3 weeks before it's been picked.
That's such an interesting, that's some good information right there,
Yes.
Marcy.
Yeah, frozen food is usually fresher than any fresh food unless you're buying it at a roadside stand.
And fresh food is often more expensive than frozen food.
Exactly.
You get 2 for $1, frozen vegetables.
That's right. I tell all of my people, I'm really big into my diabetes prevention program, and I push frozen food, especially if you're able to store it. And luckily, frozen vegetables, you can store them flat and stack them,
Yeah.
Frozen vegetables, and pull out your portion. You don't have to cook the whole bag, pull out what you need to cook. And so, yeah, so that would be my advice.
Yeah, great information. Marcy Westerbeck is from Healthcare Partners of South Carolina. They're in Horry, Marion, Florence, Georgetown, and Williamsburg counties. She specializes in diabetes management over there, and for the last 11 years. Marcy, it's a big issue in our state, diabetes, isn't it?
It most certainly is. Most certainly is. Unfortunately, South Carolina, of course, the number one killer of people in South Carolina is heart disease, but diabetes is right up there with it.
Yeah.
And we have a very high amount of diabetes in our state. So we have to watch. And pre-diabetes, we had three guests on the show today. 1 in every 3 people in South Carolina has pre-diabetes, and Linda showed us that. Lydia Cotton, she has pre-diabetes. So, she was our statistic.
She was our statistic.
One out of every 3. One out of every 3 adults over the age of 20 has pre-diabetes, and sadly, usually 90% of those people don't even know that they have it.
And the thing about it is, and I mean, we talk about it so much on this show. Sometimes, yes, it has everything to do with what you're eating, what you're not eating, what you're but sometimes it's genetic. It's what your grandmama did.
It's almost always. I mean, there is obviously pre-diabetes there are things to watch out for. Are you over 45? Okay. Yes. Okay. I'm over 45. Are you obese? I'm obese. Did you have gestational diabetes? That has nothing to do with your weight, anything else. Gestational diabetes is genetics. Did your mom or dad have diabetes? You can't control if your mom or dad had diabetes. That's your grandma, your brother, your sister.
That's the frustrating
things
thing.
Like that. Yeah. What is your BMI? What is, things like that. You can't control that. Are you a man or a woman? Well, you were born that way. I mean, there are things like that has to do. Of course, your race, African American, Asian, Hispanic Americans, or of all nationalities, all over the world, those nationalities have a higher incidence of diabetes.
Right.
So you can't control that. So that puts you at risk of prediabetes. I have many, many, many people who test on the screen, which we have Diabetes Alert Day coming. That's the whole point of Diabetes Alert Day, is to screen to see if you have prediabetes. Yeah. And they come in and say, I screen every single year at the gym. I go to our Conway Fitness Center, the gym, and they all come out from their workout, and they look, lots of those, and it's a lot of people over 65, and they come out in their workout gear, and they look great, and they say, "Oh no, I work out every day." And I'll say, "Could you just take this screen?" And the shock, it's shock, because I take care of myself. I eat right.
That's my story.
That's right. It has nothing to do with that, but that's the point. Over 60% of my class that I have 65 people right now enrolled in a program. Over 60% are, you would say, are not overweight.
Right.
They, if you looked at them, you would not say, "Oh, they meet the diabetes, type 2 looking people." They don't look overweight. They are active. They go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. They go to Zumba. They do dancing. They do swimming, but they are at risk for prediabetes. So, they've tested positive on the screen. So.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said that's my story. I mean, I eat well, I exercise, all of that, but there is a trace of diabetes in my family.
Right.
It's just there.
That's right.
And it is frustrating. Like, I'm doing all the right things,
I know. It's the same as heart disease.
Yeah.
As a women in the South, especially women anyhow, and we have to look at that, because diabetes and heart disease are best friends.
Yeah.
And heart disease in the South and heart disease in women is a very big problem. So when we look at treating diabetes and treating prediabetes, heart disease is right in there. I do not ever just treat prediabetes or treat diabetes. Heart disease and high cholesterol is right there, because you don't have one.
Right.
If you're at risk for prediabetes, you are automatically at risk for a stroke. You're automatically at risk for a heart attack. You're automatically at risk. It's like, so it's there. So that's why I love that In It Together has created this program for Alert Day this year.
Yeah.
And like they did we did for the South Carolina Fair
this
state past year. Yeah. So for what we're doing this year at Healthcare Partners, we are actually screening everyone. For not just for Alert Day, we're doing Alert Week. Great. So instead of just Tuesday, every single person will come in, they will do their code. We'll have the code, the QR code, and they will screen and give us their number to see where they are in their chance, or at what score they come out for their risk assessment for prediabetes.
Marcy Westerbeck joins us from Healthcare Partners of South Carolina. Marcy, we have a question. You're watching Wellness Wednesday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council. Danielle Lake wants to know, what is classified as prediabetes? Thank you, Danielle, for your question.
Okay, prediabetes is just that. It's being at risk for type 2 diabetes.
So it's when your numbers are right below?
They're right below. So diabetes is A1C, which is that 3-month glucose number of 6.5 or more. Pre-diabetes is 5.7 to 6.4. So, it's a hair. You can be at 6.4%. So it's really in a finger stick where people actually test their blood sugar. Mm-hmm. It is 125 or less fasting.
So what does that mean, though, Marcy? And thank you, Danielle, because I'm going to go further with Danielle since she asked that. So what does it mean if you're pre-diabetic? Of course, obviously, as you said, that means you're almost there. So that means at any time you could go there.
That's right.
So what do you need to do if you are pre-diabetic?
Well, first of all, the positive. Pre-diabetes is 100% reversible. Diabetes is not.
Mm.
You can be diet controlled and have diabetes, but once you are diagnosed as having diabetes, you have diabetes for your whole life.
Oh, wow.
You can be off your medicine, you can be diet controlled, but once that diagnosis is on your chart, it's on there for your whole life. Pre-diabetes is 100% reversible, which is what the National Diabetes Prevention Program is all about. It is a lifestyle change program. That's why you want to take this screening test. We do lifestyle change. How you do this is through diet and not diet. It is food modification, learning to do things differently, activity. You cannot do just one. You cannot exercise pre-diabetes away. You cannot diet pre-diabetes away. Yeah. It is a combination of both of them, along with stress, learning to deal with stress, learning to deal with making relationships, learning to deal with community, learning to deal with all of this experience of joining into these programs. Mm-hmm. And you can go on In It Together and find these classes. I have had a CDC recognized National Diabetes Prevention Program since 2016. Those programs, there is a map right on the website. If you test, you can go on there and do that QR code right on our website on In It Together or at healthcarepartners.com or .org, excuse me. And you can find out if you're at risk, go on the map, put it on there. You can find an in-person test, in-person classes. You can find remote classes, online classes. They are free almost everywhere. I know at Healthcare Partners, we do all of our education free because it is my opinion that just like the library, you should never have to pay for education. Yeah. If you had to pay to go to the library, you would never see a student in there. Yeah. So I feel like all education should be free, especially when it comes to your health, because you need that. You need that education in order to thrive, because we are made to, we as women, as human beings, as everyone, we should be thriving, not surviving this disease or any of these diseases. We should be thriving, not surviving. Yeah. So
yeah, Marcy, that is, you're so passionate. I love talking to you because you just really hit the nail on the head. Danielle, thank you for the question. I mean, I'll tell you just really briefly, that was my thing. Like I said, there's a trace of diabetes in almost every woman in my family, grandmother, great grandmother, aunts, cousins. You know, I get skipped my generation. I wasn't the female. My brother got it instead. He was the only male, but I have been pre-diabetic, and I did not want to go on medication, and I did have to turn it around. I mean, and I'm a good, like I said, I exercise, I eat right. I mean, I don't like my chocolate chip cookies, but I had to do some tough love to myself and modification. Right. And I'll tell you, you know, before the show, we were talking about grandbabies, and before I started caring for my two, I was an avid exerciser. When I got them, I couldn't exercise as much because I would exercise in the morning. And then when my numbers started going back up, I said to myself, one, I want to be there for me. I want to be there for them. So I told somebody this week, once I drop them off, I am committed to giving myself the first hour of the day to walk, to exercise, to do something for me. Because that's right. I'm also doing it for them and for everybody.
That's right.
So I walk an hour in my neighborhood. And as soon as I drop them off, I get a little something to eat, and I'm walking throughout the neighborhood because and it's changed. I mean, and like you said, I mean, I'm a pretty good eater anyway, but right. I had really been missing out on that exercise piece. And they say all you need is 30 minutes for 150 minutes a week.
150 minutes per week. That comes to 22 minutes a day. And you think about it. If you took that 22 minutes, that's 10 minutes twice a day.
Right.
You could walk in place for a commercial.
Yes.
Through commercials of television.
Yes. You can dance it out. You can do something.
Dance it out. That's right. But I have to go back. Dr. Linda Bell said something about advocating for yourself, and that's what you mentioned. You made it for yourself. I tell this to my participants through our National Diabetes Prevention Program. You have to be your own cheerleader, because you cannot take care of anyone else until you take care of you, and it has to be something that you can do. I do not want to do a stair climber.
Right.
So I cannot say I am going to do the stair climber 3 days a week. That is not going to help me. I am afraid of sharks. I'm not going to say I'm going to surf.
Right.
It has to be something I want to do.
And that you like to do.
That you like to do.
Like to
right.
walk. It helps me
That's
clear
right.
my head.
And it helps you. That's right.
Yeah.
It's more than activity. It is emotional support. It is physical activity, and all of those things together you were able to do on your own. Now, some people with the diabetes prevention program, that whole group experience, that's one of the things. I have a young lady who comes to one of my programs, and she says, we just got to the midpoint of the program. And I go through the program and I said, tell me why you're still here. You've made it halfway. Give me a reason why. And she says, my A1C is down to 5.1. I don't even have prediabetes anymore. I just come here because this is my time to get out. This is my me time. And I love this group. It's like group therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, Marcy. We have got to love ourselves more than we love fried chicken. You know what I'm saying? We've got to do things for us, for our mental, physical, emotional health and well-being. And
we do,
and we're worth it. We're worth it.
Yep. And you have to remember, you can have anything.
Yeah.
You just have to have it in portion control.
Right.
Moderation. You can't ever say, I can never, ever have another piece of chicken. Right. You can have a piece of chicken. You can't have a box of chicken, and you can't have fried chicken every day.
Every day. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the thing. So Tiffany Derry's coming. This is a wonderful thing. Healthcare Partners is actually, we are hosting a viewing of her program that you are doing. Yeah. And I am cooking all of the food that she is cooking, and it will not be nearly as wonderful as hers. So when so people can register at our facility to come to the viewing. So they will watch her live, and at the end, they will get to taste all this wonderful food that she is making. It. I promise it's not going to taste as good. I'll send you a picture. I know you're moderating, so I will send you a picture. It's not going to be the same. But see, those are the things. You can have those good things, because I know she's making wonderful things. But you have to just learn to tweak a little bit so that it works out.
Yeah, yeah. Marcy is, as she said, this event, we've been talking about it. The Diabetes Action Council presents this live virtual cooking show with Chef Derry. It's next week, next Tuesday on Diabetes Alert Day at noon. And as Marcy said, you can visit their website and or come to. They can come too.
They can come. They just have to contact. They have to contact because we have. Because of limited obviously seating. With COVID, and we have limited seating, they have to contact my office so that they can RSVP, and we will reserve them a spot. And
where's it going to be, Marcy? Because I know you guys have several.
It's going to be in our Conway location at 1708 Oak Street in Conway.
All right. So if we can get Marcy's information back up on the screen, people can email, call, or go to the website. You can see it right there. Contact her. Let her know if you are in the Conway area that you want to participate in that. And then, of course, she'll be right here on next Tuesday, Chef Jerry from Top Chef, and she'll be cooking some amazing things for us. And then the next day, on Wednesday, Marcy, we're going to be in the kitchen with Chef Judy Etheridge in Columbia.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for that.
Diabetes Alert Day. Danielle Lake says, thank you, Marcy. Great and helpful information. Hey, thank you, Danielle. And Marcy, you're just so passionate, and that's why I love for you to be here. And it is doable. We are over time. It is doable.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good, girl. It's doable. We've just got to do it.
That's right.
We just have to do it. And there are programs like Marcy's program at Health Partners that can help you. You are not in it alone. The In It Together initiative through the Diabetes Action Council has several partners like healthcare partners all over the state to help you with your diabetes management so that you can live a full, healthy, productive life. Don't you want that for yourself? Of course you do. You don't have to do it alone. Marcy Westerbeck with healthcare partners there in Horry, Marion, Florence, Georgetown, Williamsburg counties. Marcy, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And I'll see you next Tuesday cooking.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
All right, Marcy Westerbeck, guys. Thank you so much once again. Listen, tomorrow it's Girl Scout cookie time. Now, none of this, that, guys, anything to do with that. Girl Scout cookie time. I am fasting from sweets, so I'm not quite sure yet how I'm going to taste these cookies because they sent me a box of them. But we're going to figure that out. Laura Tucker, who's CEO of the Girl Scouts, going to join us. Plus, REST. It's an initiative, an event to help teachers and educators. We'll talk to the organizers. That's tomorrow on Coping with Tre Tailor. And then Friday, filmmaker Michael Jones joins us with the cast of his new movie, Never Again. That and more coming up this week on Coping with Tre Tailor. Listen, do you have a story or initiative that could help someone cope or cope with COVID? Please email booking@copingwithtretailer.com. Do you have a product or service that could help someone cope with COVID? Please email copingwithtretailer@gmail.com. All of that information is on the screen. We would love for you to be a proud sponsor, just like In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council. They sponsor Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. Our other sponsors include Javis Financial Services, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Palmetto Media Connections, Agape Counseling and Training Services. Black Expo had a great weekend in the Charleston Expo. The Columbia Expo is in May. The Comet Bus System and Computers Unique Dutch Square Mall. Also, the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office, Attorney Byron Gibson. Speaking of which, let me tell you this before we go. The Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office in Charity, I'm talking to the producer. We've got a flyer for this. They're going to do another one of their warrant resolution events. It's going to be April 12th in Columbia, South Carolina. If you have an outstanding warrant, you can come to this event, no judge, no jail, get your record clear, find out what you need to do to get whatever past issues that you had. You can do that. And that's April 12th. Okay. We're going to talk to folks from the solicitor's office before that event, but I wanted to remind you of that. Listen, as always, we are running behind, but thank you so much for hanging in there with us. But I definitely want to leave you with this reading. We've been reading Conversations with God from Cheryl Mims Williams, and this says, Father, I pray that the trust in you and desire for you and your word would radiate throughout my body. I want it to be like food to my famished body and water to my thirsty soul. I have to have your love. I want to be saturated with your word, your wisdom, and your knowledge. I want, Father, to be so full of you until everything else is secondary and not so important. I am praying that I burst with your spirit and your word. Great is thy faithfulness. I pray that my light will shine, that others can see you in me and glorify you and your name. That is a wonderful prayer from Conversations with God, Cheryl Mims Williams with Agape Counseling and Training Services. This is a book filled with some of her journal writings and of her other scriptural readings. This is a great book. Listen, thank you guys so much for joining us today on Wellness Wednesday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council. Until the next time, I wish you peace, abundant blessings. Take care, stay well, God bless, and wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. We'll see you tomorrow.
Coping with COVID and In It Together SC present Wellness Wednesday, brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina and DHEC's Division of Diabetes and Heart Disease Management.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.